Right, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to another League One roundup and the first podcast of 2023. Happy New Year to you all. We've got some amazing games to delve into today. New Year's Day football and of course the 2nd of January's fixtures did not disappoint. We're going to be speaking about 4 selected matches as we always do on these roundups. We'll be touching on the other games as well. Let me know in the comments section, are you happy with your team's first fixtures of the new year? Oxford fans, we'll speak about the game. Of course we will. Not the best of starts, is it? Not the best of starts. New Year, same Oxford United. Some people will be calling it. Let's get straight into it. Please do leave a like and subscribe. You're probably thinking, Jack, where are we recording the first episode of the year from? A Premier Inn in Bournemouth is where we are. That's just what we got to do. We could not miss to speak about all of these games. Let me know in the comments section. Subscribe, on the road now to 3.7 thousand subscribers. Absolutely incredible stuff. Please do hit that subscribe button and that like button as well. 100 likes on a roundup is what we always try and do now, week in, week out. And if we could continue doing that, that would be incredible. Join the Discord server to continue the conversation when it comes to League One football. And of course, we're in the new year. We'll be doing a fan call-in very, very shortly. That's the place to be for all of those wonderful, wonderful things. Let's get straight into it. Starting off with Oxford United against Exeter. So then, it wasn't the start to the new year that Oxford United fans would have wanted. It was a frustrating game. It really, really was quite frustrating. It finishes Oxford United 0, Exeter 1. The XG for the game, 1.22 to 1.79 of Exeter there. So, look, I mean, it was quite a tight game. You can see by looking at the momentum graph there. Oxford, I mean, the first half, similar to the Charlton game, we were absolutely on top. The difference being, and the big difference being, we were on top, but we did not take the chances. And Carl Robinson's come out since the game and he said it himself. When you're on top, you have to take those chances, and we can't continue like this. We absolutely can't continue to have that much possession, but also is the momentum going forward and not, tuck those chances away. And we did have moments in the game, we did have big opportunities, and we weren't able to take them. When you look at the sides that have been successful this season, you look at the sides that are at the top end of the table, the sides that really, really are getting those results, they're the ones that when they're on top, they dig in, they take those chances, and they defend strong. We've been able to get away with it in the last couple of years where we've accepted the fact that we would concede a goal or two, but we know we're going to score 2 or 3, and we're going to take the chances when they come. Our XG was so high and has been so high for the last couple of years. This year, we're not being aggressive, we're not being ruthless in the final third. And that's the biggest downfall. That is Oxford United's massive downfall. And look at the last 2 games. I spoke about it on the Instagram, the Young Fan Podcast Instagram. Definitely go and follow that. But I spoke about it after the game, really, really briefly in a story. I said, the last 2 games, the sort of the New Year's games, Thursday, the festive football, really. The Thursday's game against Charlton, in which we won 3-1, and this game against Exeter, it absolutely epitomises the campaign that we've had so far. And it was just massively, massively inconsistent. It has been so inconsistent in performance and in result. We've been okay and good in patches, and when we look like we're playing some decent football under Carl Robinson, and that's really the same for the entire time that we've had him as our manager. But when we are on it, and when we are going forward, and we do look aggressive, we do look ruthless, we look like a really, really good side. But yesterday against Exeter, we were not on it. You could tell the chances, and it was one of those. I spoke to, my dad I went to the football with, and I turned to him. I was about 20 minutes into the game, and you can see the graph there. I mean, it was the sort of first half an hour, 35, most of the half ultimately. I said to him, if we don't take the chances now, and if we don't, tuck away a chance the first half, when you are on top, we could end up regretting this if we don't get the result we would have wanted to, and we lose the game 1-0. Second half, we didn't come out the blocks, and again, similar to Charlton, really, the only difference being we weren't 2-0 up at that point. We didn't come out firing. We didn't come out looking like we were going to come and win the game. We did, we had a couple of chances here and there, but generally, we actually allowed Exeter to come into the game a little bit more. We allowed them to have a little bit more possession. We allowed them to have a bit more opportunity. They brought Jay Stansford on. I thought he was really, really good when he came on, provided them with energy, with enthusiasm going forward, caused us another problem. Sam Nombe was really, really good, I thought, as well. And yeah, we got caught out on the break. I mean, the goal that we conceded was absolutely horrendous. It was a set piece it's a corner that we had, a set piece that we were, in control of, or meant to be in control of. Massively punished on the turnover. I mean, unbelievably, it's 3v1. Marcus Maguire, the poor central defensive midfielder who was sitting back from the corner. He wasn't in the penalty area. He was the only player back and ended up with a 3v1. Absolutely. I mean, it's so costly, and it cost us massively. Absolutely cost us massively. And I'm worried for Oxford United because, like I say, these last 2 games have absolutely epitomised the level of inconsistency. And we're not going forward. We feel like we are regressing, and that's really, really damaging. And it is really damaging for Carl Robinson again. I'm worried for him once again. And again, that just shows when we sort of go, are we Carl Robinson in, Carl Robinson out, Carl Robinson I don't really know, undecided, not sure. It's because we're so up and down. You go to Charlton, you host Charlton, you win the game. And you go, right, we'll beat Exeter, we can go into the January window, we can go into the new year with a bit of rhythm, and then we can just sort of hopefully really strengthen in the window, which I still feel we need to do, because it isn't mathematically over, but it does feel over. But if you go in these next 2 home games like we did, it almost makes up for the Ipswich humiliation, and you can really push on and get a run going. You beat Charlton, you look good in the first half, drop off in the second half, and then you're going to lose to Exeter, because once again, we're not very good going forward. Huge blow. When looking at the league table, and by the way, I should have said it earlier, Exeter, fair play. Fair play to them. Defended really, really well. I thought defensively they were so solid. They saw the game out. At the end, a little bit of time wasted, but it's game management. It's part of the game. And, ultimately Exeter, they had all the right to hold on to what they had. They deserved to stay strong defensively and keep a clean sheet, which they did. And they cost us massively on the counter-attack. You can see, look at the league table now. Exeter 10th, Oxford United 14th. I think it's now 4 wins from 14 league games. It is really, really concerning. It might be even 3 wins from 13 league games or 14 league games. It's not a good record. Possession stats, absolutely all over them, but only 5 shots on target from 20 total shots. It's concerning, it's worrying, and Oxford United fans, I think we are a little bit worried. But fair play to Exeter. It finishes Oxford United 0, Exeter 1. But again, new year, same inconsistent Oxford this season, unfortunately. I thought we could maybe turn the corner, but it looks like we're not. I'm a little bit concerned for Oxford, and it's deflating really, but a big game against Arsenal in the FA Cup. We'll have to wait and see. Right then, so next up we're going to go to Fratton Park. Finishes Pompey 1, Charlton 3. The XG for the game 0.79 to Charlton 0.99. Worrying times for Pompey fans. Worrying times for Danny Cowley as well, of course, their manager. I think, Tom spoke about it. Definitely go and watch his vlog. Definitely go and watch the... I mean, it's not a nice watch, is it? But it is certainly a Pompey fan who, at the moment, I think is a little bit undecided about how he feels on the whole situation. Very, very divided. That football club seems very divided as well. It seems quite a toxic atmosphere at the moment, and unfortunately that isn't being helped by the fact that they're not getting results on the pitch, and the performances haven't been much better either. And a good point against Ipswich, really, and they could have maybe got more from that game, but silly individual mistake cost them. I mean, really, that has been the story of their season so far. And, I mean, once again, a really, really poor showing at Fratton Park. They lost to MK Dons, and I think that felt like maybe the low of the low. I think yesterday might have topped that. I think yesterday might have unfortunately topped that. Finishes, like I say, Pompey 1, Charlton 3, and that score alone. I say that score again because it's really, really worrying and really concerning. I watched Charlton play on the Thursday before this game, and I was not impressed by them. The first half in particular, I thought they were really, really poor. I thought they were in ultimate disarray. I thought that as a unit and as a system under Dean Holden, a new manager, they did not look organised. They didn't really look like they were trying to impress the manager either, which is a real worry. But apparently yesterday, from what I can see and by looking at the stats and from the people I spoke to, they did what they needed to do. They did what they needed to do against what has to be said, a real disheartened Pompey side. You can see by looking at the graph here as well. I mean, Portsmouth didn't really look like the home side, and at home at Fratton Park the last couple of years, maybe they haven't been getting out of League One. They maybe haven't been getting the promotion they've been wanted to do for a long time. But you always thought that Pompey would be on top at Fratton Park. You always knew going there was going to be a real challenge, and they probably going to have more of the ball and look threatening going forward. Especially when you look at the organisation and the excitement of Danny Cowley over the last couple of years and the manager that he's trying to be, and the sort of football that they're trying to play. It wasn't to be yesterday at all. You can see by looking at the stats as well, if you just scroll down to the stats there, 51% possession, 49%, but Charlton, the away side, with more of the shots in total, exactly the same on target. But again, really, really worrying times. Danny Cowley's in trouble. You can see by looking at the league table as well. I think it's 1 win in 13 or 1 win in 14 for Pompey now in Sky Bet League. When it's concerning, it's worrying, and something that needs to change really, really quickly because it could get worse. And if it gets worse, then I don't know. But home defeats are very, very worrying. And for it to get toxic at Fratton Park, I mean, apparently even according to Tom, that doesn't happen very often. And for a long time, it does not look like a very happy place at the moment. For Charlton, a really, really important win. I didn't think they'd get the result against Pompey based on what I saw from them against Oxford United the Thursday before that. But fair play to them, they turned it on. And after 24 games, they're 17th and on 28 points. And Dean Holden gets his first win as Charlton manager. So fair play to him. So it finishes Barnsley 0, Bolton Wanderers 3. The XG for the game, 0.36 to Bolton's 2.17. What a result for Ian Everett's side. So impressive. And they turned it on. They absolutely turned on the heat when it matters. In a little bit of a playoff head-to-head, you can see now Barnsley 6th, Bolton 5th, both on 40 points. So impressive. Absolutely brilliant from the away side. And let's be honest, deep down, I didn't call this. I didn't call it. I think I might have gone with a Barnsley win. I might have gone with a draw. But either way, I didn't see Bolton score 3 goals and not concede any and win the game so comfortably. And that's not because I don't believe in Bolton. Of course, they've got serious quality. You can see by looking at the league table, they're not there at the halfway point of the season for no reason. But I speak about Barnsley and I speak about how good they've been under Michael Duff in recent weeks. They've been in absolutely top form. I did not call this one. I didn't call this one. You can see by looking at the graph as well. Bolton on top for the majority of the game. The first half, absolutely the better side. The second half, first sort of 20 minutes, slightly more equal. And they hit gear right at the end of the game to go and ultimately kill the game off and make it 3. Of course, we've got to speak about the red card. Anderson, after 11 minutes, that certainly did change the game. And literally, I mean, in the 12th minute, a penalty is given. Dion Charles makes it 1-0, but Varsa makes it 2-0. Both strikers on the score sheet as well, which is interesting about maybe how the strikers haven't been up to scratch. I mean, one was a penalty, but Budvarsson's wasn't. So that is going to be hopefully a real confidence boost for those centre forwards at Bolton Wanderers. But, you know, that red card changed the game. And Michael Duff's game plan gets flown out the window straight away. You know, going down to 10 men that early against the side, of course, they've got real quality. I mean, it's damaging, hugely damaging. But it is 2-0 at half time. And for Bolton, it's a brilliant place to be. And then the second half, I mean, it's a really uphill battle. It's 3-0 after 76 minutes. They kill the game off. Kyle Dempsey does it, the central midfielder. And I mean, I come back to it. It's really important for Bolton. Really important indeed. Of course, we look about how you know, Michael Duff would want to set up his side and how the game plan does change hugely when you go down to 10 men that early on in the game. Trying to adapt to that, it is massively difficult. Of course, the penalty was given after the red card as well, and it's a centre back. It's a horror start, absolutely horror start to the game. But Bolton, you know, I mean, we speak about sometimes maybe going down to 10 men and that lifting the rest of the players. It wasn't to be. It wasn't, and Bolton capitalised. You can see by the graph. You can see by the XG as well, 2.17. They were ruthless going forward. Only 3 shots on target from 14 total shots. So a clinical Bolton side. Something has been a little bit of a rarity. I do think they still do need a centre forward. I think that, but it's also really important. It really is. They dominated possession as well, 67% in total. 8 corners. They look much better going forward than they have done in previous weeks. And it was important because you go to 10 men against a side like this, you know, in the importance of the game, and you look at the context of the match, it's important you take advantage of that, and Bolton certainly did. So fair play to them. Important stuff. It finishes Barnsley 0, Bolton 3. Brilliant stuff. For Michael Duff, he'll be frustrated. They're in top form, and their unbeaten run does come to an end. But a huge red card that changes the game so early on in the match. It'll be a killer. A real killer indeed. Right, let's go to the final selected game. Let's head to Lincoln City because they hosted Ipswich Town, currently second in the league. And is Ipswich title charge slowly falling away? You can see it finishes Lincoln 1, Ipswich 1. The XG for the game 0.88 to Ipswich's 1.53. The league table now, Ipswich now dropped down to third. 50 points now, 6 points off first. And Sheffield Wednesday, because of their very brilliant win over Cambridge United, 5-0 the final score. We'll touch on that game with all the others. They now leapfrog them and head into the automatic promotion places second. So, for Ipswich, back-to-back draws after, an impressive home showing against Oxford United on Boxing Day. But 2 draws now, in a bit of a title race that they are in, and a automatic promotion race they're in, drawing games when you likes of Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday. It's 4 back-to-back wins for Plymouth, 3 for Sheffield Wednesday. You can't be drawing games. And, we know Lincoln's home record this season has been really good. In fact, they're still unbeaten at home. You can see, looking at the home table, Lincoln still 15th when looking at the home record. But they have drawn 10 of their games. Another draw for them today, but still unbeaten. They've only won 2 games at home this season, but they're still unbeaten. A lot of draws and another one to add to that today. But they won't be too bothered about today's one because it was really important and a very difficult one on paper. But they held strong. They absolutely held strong. They allowed Ipswich to have the ball. They dug deep. They probably played with quite a low block, I imagine, by looking at those possession stats. In fact, you can probably see by looking at the average positions as well. they did have to play, and they had to play, allow them to soak up the pressure and soaking the pressure up themselves and hitting them on the break and being out of possession just as strong as being in possession. But 78% possession to Ipswich, 21 shots to 2 shots. 2 shots for Lincoln City, 1 shot on target, 8 shots on target. Only 2 total shots for the home side. They come away with a 1-1 draw. I mean, look, and it's been a bit of a problem for Ipswich this season. You can see how dominant they were as well by looking at the graph. It's a bit of a similar story for Ipswich, a little bit of a similar story, and not the one that Kieran McKenna will want to be reading. Really, it's a story of being on top, looking really, really good going forward, generally for the majority of the game, looking strong, having more shots, having more possession, but not getting that second goal to kill it off. They had it against Lincoln when they played at Portsmouth. They played the home fixture for Ipswich of this time. And now away from home, similar story, not being able to kill the game off with that second goal. And I look at the weaknesses of Ipswich, and there isn't many, that has to be one. I mean, in some games, they can do that. They can do that in brilliant style. A few changes to the side as well. Aluku playing as part of that front three with Wes Burns and Marcus Harness. But that strong midfield partnership of Lee Evans and Sam Morsey started the game. Jackson began it up top. Ladapo, I believe, was on the bench there. He did come on after 65 minutes. Connor Chaplin also, not in that starting lineup. Did that make a difference? Was that a rested decision? Was that an injury decision? I'm not entirely sure. But either way, that would weakness the side. It was Jack Darman who made it 1-0 after 64 minutes, and a late equaliser from Cameron Humphreys that makes it 1-1. But yeah, a little bit concerning maybe, and that title charge now, they dropped down to third, not in those automatic promotion places anymore. I mean, there are not many weaknesses for Ipswich, but one of them could be just finishing that off with one more chance. The amount of shots they had, they probably should have done just that. As for Lincoln, a really, really good draw. I predicted a draw. I think I went with 2-2, so 1-1. I'll take that. I thought Lincoln would be okay at home because the home record has been so good. Mark Kennedy is really creating a strong fortress at the home ground, and that's going to be the important thing. And yeah. Against a side, of course, who are in top form generally and in a very good position, they hold strong and draw the game 1-1. It finishes Lincoln City 1, Ipswich Town 1. That's the final game of all of the selected ones, but don't worry, we will touch on all of the others because there has been some really good games, and just narrowing it down to 4 was really, really challenging. You can see Derby County, they beat Accrington 4-0, a brilliant result for Derby County, 4-0 the final score there. They did have a red card, Derby, in that match, but it didn't matter, generally on top, and a pretty runaway performance for Accrington, another disappointing result for them now. As for Sheffield Wednesday, another side on the 2nd of January, absolutely high-flying, another brilliant outing at Hillsborough for them, 5-0, wiped the floor of Cambridge United, worrying times for them. They looked pretty much second best for the entire encounter. Sheffield Wednesday turned it on. Josh Windus had a brilliant game. You can see the goal scorer on, how many occasions was that in total? 3 occasions, a hat-trick for Josh Windus. I knew he got a couple, but it's actually 3 in total. A brilliant hat-trick for him. A huge reason why they wiped the floor of a Cambridge United side. We've spoken about that one. Plymouth Argyle win the game 3-1, hence why they're now top of the league with a little bit of a margin. They beat MK Dons 3-1. Really, really good result for them. Maybe not for the sort of last 20 minutes the better side, but generally when it matters, they turned on the heat and they won the game really quite comfortably in the end. What a result for Wycombe Wanderers as well, against a bit of a promotional rival in Peterborough United. Again, a classic Wycombe performance, not many moments going forward, but when they scored the goal, you can see when the goals came, absolutely when they were on top. 1 in the first half and then 2 when they looked strong in the second 45. Port Vale got the job done against Green Rovers. For now, Forest Green, they are bottom of the table, worrying times. Not a good start to the year for Forest Green Rovers. Port Vale, they continue the strong form they showed after their promotion into League One in 2022. And finally, final 3, Morecambe beating Burton 5-0. Incredible. How many 5-0s is that? 2 5-0s and a 4-0. Absolutely brilliant. 5-0 for Morecambe. Did not expect that. Burton just get out of the bottom 4 and they go and get thumped by Morecambe 5-0. Welcome to League One. And Bristol Rovers beat Cheltenham 2-1. The Gas, again, a really, really good result. I say again, the last result wasn't so good. They were 2-0 up at one point, 3-1 up, and they lost the game 4-3. But Joe Button's side got back on top and won the game comfortably. Not comfortably, but they won the game, fairly well in the end. They were 2-0 up at one point. It looked like it would be more comfortable. It was in the end, but it does finish 2-1. Bristol Rovers 2, Cheltenham Town 1. And finally, Shrewsbury 0, Fleetwood 3. Another away record. of brilliance for Fleetwood. A brilliant away result for them. 3-0 the final score for Shrewsbury. Back-to-back defeats. Worrying times for them against a side sort of in and around where they are. Cheltenham, they lost the game at home. Then Fleetwood at home. Both of them being defeats. This one even worse. 3-0. We know Fleetwood's good away record, but Shrewsbury have got to be back better at home, and another pretty dismal result for them, and down to 10 men as well. Finally, when looking at the league table, Shrewsbury slipped down to 16th. 3 defeats for them on the bounce. Forest Green Rovers, bottom of the league. Burton back in that bottom 4. The same bottom 4 that we've seen for the majority of the season. MK Dons with 2 defeats on the bounce, now 23rd in the league. As for the top 6, Wycombe, Peterborough United can't quite get in there. Barnsley now dropped to 6th after being 4th. Now Derby have taken that position. And as previously mentioned, Ipswich drop out of the top 2 and are now 6 places off Plymouth, who are still league leaders on 56 points. That is the current league table. Pompey now 12th. Really disappointed for them. Danny Cowley's in trouble. But the next time we record this, I mean, they've got Tottenham next in the FA Cup. We've got Arsenal, but we could be seeing Danny Cowley, the next manager to be sacked. Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, please do leave a like and subscribe. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Have you enjoyed the conversation? I certainly had. Happy New Year to you all once again. The first podcast of 2023 has been a really quite enjoyable one. Show support in the comment section and by hitting that like button and the big red subscribe button. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care.